So the Eagles got the win and are moving on to the divisional round thanks to some bully ball from Dallas Goedert, a monster showing from the defense, and Nolan Smith being virtually unblockable. However, that didn't come without the crucial loss of Nakobe Dean, as well as a decent amount of criticism towards Jalen Hurts. Although why shouldn't you totally be buying into the blame game? Plus, what was up with A.J. Brown reading on the sidelines? Let's talk about that and everything else from the Birds' wild card win. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? All right, we're going to get into all of it, but first, do me a favor and drop a like because the Eagles won or into the next round. Sure, it was a lot harder than it should have been and definitely more stressful than it needed to be. However, even with the less than ideal play and frustration, the Birds ultimately got the dub by 12 points. Heck, realistically, it could have been 19 points, but Saquon decided to slide at the end instead of going in for the score, which is probably why many, including the voice of the Eagles, Merrill Reese, called the game an acceptable start to the Birds' playoff run, citing the fact that Philly was able to get the job done even if the offensive performance wasn't the most dynamic.
At the end of the day, the opinions, that's for you guys. The only thing that really matters is how we win, whether we throw for 400 yards, we rush for 400 yards, or we win the game 3-0. I don't give a to be honest. I just want to win. And I think that's the mindset of the team. I know that's the mindset of the team, and we'll go back, we'll watch film, we'll improve, and get ready for whatever we got next.
We were okay. Okay is not the standard, but, it was okay. We need to be great at it.
But ultimately, playoff football is about winning. First wild card win since, for a minute now, so that's big.
You guys got off to a hot start, and it seemed like maybe there was a little bit of a lull there. Was this something they were doing, or was it execution?
It was execution. It was rhythm. We gotta find our rhythm early in the game, and I think first and foremost our defense played their tails off. And created turnovers, and I think ultimately, when you have those opportunities, you got to take advantage of them. And that starts with me. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It's all about winning. And that's the only thing. We've gotten to the point we are. So it's about finding ways to win.
Okay, say what you will about how it looked or what the Eagles did or didn't do, but ultimately that's what it comes down to. The Birds won. By the way, that home wild card win was the first for Philly since 2006 whenever Jeff Garcia beat the Giants 18 years ago. And to put this more into context, the Packers were the toughest 7 seed that a 2-seeded NFC team's ever had to face, or at least based on records, because since the 7 seed was introduced in 2020, the best record had been 9-8. Yet Green Bay entered the game as an 11-win team featuring the #1 offense in terms of explosive passing plays. Except the Eagles entered as the #1 defense, preventing those plays, so something had to give.
Love going to take a shot, going deep down the far side, and it's intercepted! Oh, zips one. That is intercepted! Zack Baun! Love the last gasp attempt. Going deep down the field into double coverage. It's intercepted!
I said it during the game stream, but forget rust, forget whatever you want to call it. This team, the reason that they're so good is they can win in so many ways, even when they're not even at their best. Granted, the defense played phenomenal, which is even a bigger thing to say considering the Packers averaged 27 points per game during the regular season and were top 5 in total yards, points, and rushing yards. I mean, the offense did enough, but it's not a stretch at all to say this defense carried the Eagles to that win. Again, if you're having any doubts about the Birds, then think about this. This is the youngest defense in the league and the best defense in the league. Of course, personally, the best part for me was seeing how great Nolan Smith did, as the dude was easily the best player on defense against Green Bay. Like, come on, he racked up 5 pressures, 4 hurries, 2 sacks, and 2 tackles for loss. Also, I know to take the analytics with a grain of salt, but it does make me laugh seeing how Pro Football Focus graded Zach Tom as the best right tackle in the league ahead of Lane Johnson. And yet, all Nolan did was make quick work of Tom time and time again.
Did that go the way you thought it was going to go? Nope.
Look, this dude is turning into a superstar right before our very eyes. Because believe it or not, Nolan Smith is the youngest player in Eagles history to record multiple sacks in a playoff game. FYI, he's 23 years old. And better yet, he was able to do that against Jordan Love, who'd only taken 14 sacks coming into the game. Good for second fewest in the NFL. Like, on one hand, it's a pleasant surprise for a lot of people. But come on, when you think about the fact that Nolan's gotten to go up against Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata day in and day out in practice for 2 years, I mean, I'm sorry, whether it's Zach Tom or whoever, you're seeing that this dude can be a game wrecker, whether it's against the run or the pass.
How do you tell somebody that you care about deeply, I told you so?
I'm just saying, this is why I was trying to tell everyone to remain patient even when those Nolan Smith draft bust comments were coming in. And honestly, when it comes to Nolan, I think Sirianni said it best.
Hey, this guy, I love this guy. that I'm going to give this ball to. I fucking love this guy because he plays so but he is just a nasty, violent football player. And he played his ass off today. Nolan Smith.
Not gonna lie, but I definitely got emotional seeing that clip after the game, and obviously as we were streaming during the game and Nolan made those plays. By the way, Slay also gave Smith some praise, calling him the nastiest, dirtiest player on the team in that he'll do the dirty work. And he ain't wrong, because as good as number 3's getting in the pass rush, he actually grades out better against the run. Anyway, on the topic of the defense, it feels like the perfect time to announce a wild giveaway. Okay, so if you want to meet Nolan Smith and the rest of the Philly Dawgs at the NovaCare Complex this offseason, all you need to do is hit that subscribe button. Yes, you heard me right. A chance to meet Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, and all the fellas. Because as soon as the channel gets to 100,000 subscribers, I'm going to spin for one random subscriber to join me and Thomas for a meet and greet with the Philly Dawgs. And come on, we're only about 4,000 subs away. Although to be fair, I'm really not sure if I'm more excited or you guys are going to be more excited to meet Nolan Smith. Either way, just do me a favor and hit that subscribe button because there's nearly 50% of you that watch the channel and still haven't subbed. And after all, it's free, doesn't cost you a thing, and you'll get a chance to meet Eagles players, take photos, autographs, all while getting to hang out at the NovaCare Complex. Now I know it's a long way to go, we're just getting started, but just like this defense, Nolan Smith is just starting his upward trajectory and the sky is the limit.
His best game is an Eagle. But watch what he can do. This is an Eagle adjustment to a team that they think is going to run the ball. They put Zack Baun at the end of the line of scrimmage, and they cover everybody up. But here, Nolan Smith is surrendering 85 pounds to Zach Tom. But if you play the game with leverage, watch what you can do. You play low, you stack, you shed, and you make the tackle on Josh Jacobs. You can't play the play any better. You hold the run to 2 yards. That's what he did most of the day. Stack, shed, used his leverage and its explosion to win.
Nolan has just continued to get better. Nolan, I gave him a game ball in there because just his efforts. I love Nolan Smith. I mean, I want my kids aren't going to play defensive end. I know that. My two sons aren't going to play defensive end. They're not going to have the genes to do so. But I want my sons to play football like Nolan Smith. As hard, like before my kids go out to play any sport, I say have fun, play hard, be physical, and that guy is the definition of those things. He has fun out there. He has fun with his teammates. His teammates love him. He plays hard as I've ever seen anybody play, and this dude is a physical guy. I mean, I can't say enough about the way he plays this game. He loves this game. He loves it. You love guys like that, and you love when they can. But that's a credit to Howie and his staff of the guys that they brought in here, right? Because we've talked so much about the guys that love football, the guys that are tough, the guys that have high football IQ. Those guys have a tendency, God willing, to reach their full potential, and I think that's what you're seeing. That the intangibles for Nolan Smith are there, and so you're seeing him get better each week and each time he steps on the field because when you have those intangibles particularly. You have no choice but to get better. Like you just get better. And Wash has done a great job with him. Vic's obviously done a great job of putting him in position to succeed. Howie, does a great job of getting him in here. And I think that, it shows you. I think it shows you and everybody like patience, right? Guys might not come in and just be, world beaters. Even though they were ones in college, they might not be world beaters right away. It takes some time but we've seen, Nolan grow into this player that was able, the things he was doing today that helped us win a playoff football game. So, I can't say enough about Nolan. I could go on all day about that.
Speaking of growth, Nolan did say that he added another 8 pounds of muscle in the offseason. And it's fair to say that's not only noticeable, but his diet is paying huge dividends with his bull rush this season. Now, not that you're trying to become a dominant pass rusher in the NFL, but for those of you looking to change up your diet, I've got a great option with Factor Meals. Because if you're like me, I want to eat healthier, especially with my resolution of eating healthier, I just never have the time. And with all the Eagles news nonstop, I need something I can eat fast without it being fast food. Which is why I turned to Factor. Because with their 2-minute meals, I'm able to fill up fast with restaurant-quality meals that are ready to heat and eat whenever I am. And they've been a game changer when it comes to helping me stick to routines while taking the guesswork out of clean eating. In all honesty, I wasn't sure how these meals would taste. But I gotta say, they're fresh, never frozen, and after doing the math, Factor's less expensive than takeout. Plus, every meal is dietitian approved and tastes great. My favorite is the smoky Gouda chicken, but there's so many options to choose from, like keto or calorie smart, protein plus, or even vegan and veggie. So get some time back and save money while eating healthy. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50PhillySpecial to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. So come on, what are you waiting for? Get jump started on that New Year's resolution to change up that diet. Head to factor75.com and use code 50PhillySpecial. That's code 50PhillySpecial at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box and free shipping. You know, kudos to Sirianni for getting the guys dialed in to play. And like Ruben and Frank pointed out, the fact that we're 20 weeks into the season and the Eagles are still choosing to have full practices with pads in the outdoors regardless of if it's miserable weather is without a doubt one of the reasons the defense is ready to go game in and game out. Now yeah, we'll get into the offense on whether or not they were ready and the issues there, but still, from the defensive side, like I said, physicality and toughness, they were ready to go from the snap. Plus, thanks to the Commanders beating the Bucs, think about the fact that a team that plays in a dome is about to have to come to the link and deal with freezing rain predicted in the forecast for Sunday. FYI, just in case you hadn't been informed yet, the Eagles will play at 3 p.m. on Sunday. And look, we can argue about who the best opponent would have been, but personally, I'm glad the Bucs lost. Granted, Philly's going to have to play better, especially on offense if they want to get where we all want them to go. Because despite the game starting in literally the best-case scenario with an opening kickoff fumble from the Packers, the concerns crept in pretty quickly. By the way, I will say that was a little bit surprising the refs didn't give the ball back to Green Bay in the pile-up, but it's not so egregious to where someone could argue that it was a completely botched call. Anyway, Jalen and the offense capitalized, as Saquon got the action started, and then Jalen found Jahan Dotson, of all people, in the back of the end zone to take an early 7-0 lead, which with that happening and me in complete shock, congrats to Vin4815 for winning the divisional round playoff ticket giveaway. FYI, I replied to your email, so just need to hear back from you to confirm and get the tickets sent your way. Also, shout out to Dakota Warren, who won the tickets last week and got to take in the great Eagles dub versus the Pack. However, as we all saw, that one had its anxious moments, and in particular through the air. Because even though Jalen Hurts started out 6 for 6 for 39 yards and a touchdown, he then went 0 for 7 while taking 2 sacks and totaling just 7 yards in the second quarter. Of course, fortunately, the ground game was still working and allowed Jake Elliott to extend the lead to 10-0 in the first half. But you're right, the offense looked anemic and really lethargic at times. Yet I'll say this, just because Jalen was not phenomenal does not mean he was bad.
I thought Jalen Hurts played as well as he could given what he was asked to do, okay? My biggest concern in the pass game coming out of Sundays, no one's open, okay? They double AJ up top, not open, not open, not open, not open, not open, okay? So then everyone's going, well, Jalen Hurts, he's rusty, he's struggling, he's not throwing the football, or, man, he was bad. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. No one got open. No, credit Green Bay. My concern is, why did they know what it felt like every route was? Covered, 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 covered. No one open. Okay? Let's go and run a screen. How do they know what everything's doing? Screen's covered. So naturally, everyone's going to go, Jalen Hurts is rusty. Jalen Hurts played bad. No, he didn't. And that's why I sent the tweet out of, it's going to be interesting to hear people talk about it, because the people who didn't actually watch the game or don't know what they're talking about are going to say, man, he was rusty. No, he wasn't. No one's open. No one's open. No one's open. That's it. Second quarter, 4-1-8. I mean, that's 4 or 5 plays right there. No one's open. Covered, covered, covered. I mean, that's the big thing. And that's my concern. That is my, how did it seem like Green Bay knew what every route was? I mean, I'm still in the second quarter. Tell me who's open. Covered, 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 covered. Third quarter, 13:06. So this is not Jalen Hurts being rusty. This is not Jalen Hurts playing poor. This is not Jalen Hurts not seeing it. This is, they got covered up. Do I think it's the receiver's faults? No. But it was like Green Bay knew every route. They got covered up. Why? That's my question.
Look, ultimately, the Eagles won, and heck, they led for 59 of the 60 minutes on Sunday? Still, I won't deny that QB1 looked a little rusty, although personally, I really appreciate this message coming from Dan Orlovsky because he's been critical of Hurts in the past. But if he's saying that's more of an offensive scheme issue, and by the way, the tape backs that up as well, then I don't know, maybe give Jalen a little bit of a break. It's not totally all on him. Plus, give the Packers DC some credit as well, because Jeff Hafley called a great game disguising pressures and confusing the Eagles' offense. Like this first down play Shane Half shared in the first quarter that went all kinds of wrong. For example, look on the left side, you've got Packers showing blitz, Devontae Smith and Jahan Dotson running the exact same route. And then the offensive line dealing with pressure sliding to the right while Saquon also goes right. Here's why I'm not freaking out about this though. Remember, we've seen the offense go through its spurts like this, but also Jalen even admitted this past week going through the concussion protocol or even the past couple weeks that he wasn't able to work on the game plan, wasn't able to watch film, heck, not even till Wednesday. So here you've got a quarterback and offensive coordinator who probably had more of a basic game plan than they'd had if they had gotten a full week or even the last couple weeks together. Regardless, the blessing is that this team has proven they can fight through anything. Like take the defense who held Green Bay to 76 total yards in the first half while getting 3 takeaways on the Packers. I mean, say what you will about Jalen, but Jordan Love looked awful out there as the Packers quarterback threw an interception to Slay on his 3rd possession. Which kudos to Slay, man, because he was big play Slay against the Green Bay. And with the interception, became the first Eagles cornerback all season to register an INT. Also, officially, he did take a shot in the elbow, but he said he's perfectly fine, had some numbness, hit on the funny bone, but nothing to worry about. However, while that is good news, the injury that's crushing is the one to Nakobe Dean, who on the very next possession stopped tight end Tucker Kraft but suffered a torn patellar tendon in the process, as Ian Rappaport officially confirmed that he's done for the season. Obviously, first off and most importantly, prayers for Nakobe and the entire recovery process. Of course, the linebacker did post to Instagram to let everyone know he's good, but the squad isn't done with what they're going to accomplish this year. And while there's no doubt it's next man up, this unit has everything in front of them. Which is true, but I'd still argue this loss is bigger than losing Brandon Graham. After all, Nakobe has been the Eagles' best defender at stopping the run, and I think everyone saw more than enough missed tackles from Oren Burks in a backup role. Plus, the Packers targeted him on Texas routes and screens most of the game afterward. Once again, the optimistic side of me says, that's fine, we're okay, there's an opportunity here, a guy will step up. Remember, Burks did lead the team with 17 tackles in Week 18, but then, on the flip side, Dallas ran for over 100 yards. Still, perhaps getting thrust into a role in the middle of the game affected him more than being able to get a full week of preparation in. Granted, if you don't believe in him, then how about Jeremiah Trotter Jr. getting a go at the position? Personally, that's probably the direction that I would lean. However, I'm still okay if they end up going with Burks, but just get him a full week of prep. Now, there have been names thrown out there via practice squads and free agency like Detroit's Quan Alexander and Rashaan Evans as potential options. But when I think about a guy having to come in and learn Vic Fangio's defense in a matter of a week or possibly less, it doesn't seem like the best option. Anyway, I talked about this more in the live stream when the news first broke, but who would you guys go with for replacing Dean? And also, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's your concern level at with the defense now that the defense is without Nakobe? For me, I'm maybe at a 3 or 4. Like, it's definitely not nothing, but Fangio has proven that he can move guys around to make things work. Plus, the collective group is the strength of the unit on this defense anyway. Either way, I think they'll figure it out. Back to the game, though, the defense held and forced a 38-yard field goal attempt from Brandon McManus, a.k.a. the most accurate kicker in the league this season.
Try to keep 3 points on the board. As McManus up and it's missed just a bit outside.
What do we say? Players still got to go make plays, or in this case, kicks. Of course, after getting blanked in the first half thanks to that miss, the Packers came out stronger in the second half, as a mixture of run and pass plays moved the football before Quinyon Mitchell was called for a pass interference on Dontavian Wicks. Yet thankfully, the Eagles' defense stood tall and limited McManus to a 26-yard field goal. By the way, whether you thought that this was a PI or not, what I really appreciate is the message Slay had for Q on the sidelines after getting called for it.
I told him when he got into the huddle, he was kind of upset. Like, he don't like penalties, so he get real mad, stuff like that. So I like, hey, man, look, next play, and bam, back-to-back plays. You know what I'm saying? He still came to the sideline pouting about that PI, but I'm like, bro, you all right.
The defense played phenomenal all game. Unfortunately, Jalen put together his best string of passes and plays to get a quick score and make the lead 14. Oh wait, Jake Elliott missed the extra point. Although in all fairness, Eagles' Eric's got a point that the hold wasn't exactly the best and naturally kind of promotes a hook. Whereas you see later in the game that the hold was better from Braden Mann and Elliott had no issues. Still, I said it before the game and I'll say it again, the biggest issue or potential concern that I have for if this team shoots itself in the foot is the kicking game. Yet even with that being the case, it's not like you're going to go find someone off the street who's better and can be more trusted than Jake. But you're right, maybe I'm being a little too hard on Elliott. I mean, he did go 3 for 3 on field goals, but just missed the one, extra point. Either way, Dallas Goedert deserves a ton of praise for the get-off-me stiff arm for 24 yards in the score. For real, how nice was it to see DG back in this offense? Like, don't get me wrong, Grant Calcaterra has been great, but Dallas makes a difference in the ground game. Of course, the biggest and best run up to this point was Josh Jacobs as he ripped off a 32-yard gain on the next possession while breaking 7 tackles and eventually going in to make it a 6-point game. However, to put our minds at ease, this next part is exactly what the Eagles do. Because forget about the struggles or the issues or the lack of creativity, but when the offense feels the pressure and needs to put up a drive, they always seem to have an answer. And that's what they did, going 13 plays and 58 yards while taking over 7 minutes off the clock in the fourth, before a Jake Elliott field goal made it a 2-possession game, where then Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith said try again on third down, to which the Packers responded with an incomplete pass on fourth to turn it over. Fast forward to a Saquon run getting flagged for unnecessary roughness afterward, and this thing was just about a wrap.
I was over here pointing, did a good job of, I've done a couple commercials in my life, so I know how to sell it a little bit. I do think it was it too, but also know how to fall pretty good.
It ultimately didn't matter for Green Bay, yet my favorite part was seeing Jalen go stand up for Saquon after the late hit, where after a field goal made it 22-10, Quinyon Mitchell finally got his first interception to give Jordan Love 3 for the game. Oh yeah, before 26 ripped off a run for 17 yards, but could have easily housed it.
At the end of the day, stats don't matter. Only stats that matter is that win count, and we got that today.
That dude is just unbelievably unselfish, and I will say this too. The reason that this team is unstoppable is because they have one mindset and one goal. And for the record, no, A.J. Brown wasn't doing something extra to create distraction when the camera caught him reading a book, which happened to be Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy, by the way.
I'm doing it every drive, regardless of, like I said, if I score a touchdown or drop a pass or, it's something how I refocus.
Is there a certain passage that you read from?
Yes, I always revert back to, like, the beginning of the book. It states, if you can just have a clear mind, and let me see, what did it say? If you have a clear mind and remember that nothing else matters, clear mind and clear consciousness, nothing matters, negative or positive. You're willing to take risks, and I go back to it, and it also says if you're humble, you can't be embarrassed. So no matter what happens, like in the game or whatever happens, I'm just gonna stay free, play free. Keep going, take risks.
Okay, the first response to this is, yeah, most guys don't do it necessarily on the sidelines during a game. However, I would just caution anyone buying into the drama that national media is spewing, like Greg Jennings, who asked, would AJ be reading that same book if he had a $125 and a touchdown?
Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
Sorry, Greg, we got proof from a clip that was shared during the last Washington Commanders game. The one where AJ ended with 8 catches on 15 targets for 97 yards and a touchdown. So yeah, it's not a big deal. Still, people are going to talk about it because, yeah, it's weird or odd to see him doing that, but it's not hurting this offense in any way. Look, the biggest takeaway for me is that the Eagles won and AJ only had 10 yards of offense. Like, that's huge, and we know that won't ever happen again. Plus, the more you watch, it does appear that AJ was used as a decoy more often than not. After all, he's been nursing a knee injury, but said after the game that he thinks he'll finally turn a corner this week since he was able to come out of this game unscathed. Which I don't have to tell you, but obviously that's huge. Anyway, I want to hear from you guys. Obviously, takeaways from the game, but look, the Eagles won, so still, we should be positive, we should be optimistic. I'll still take it, though, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything else. I'm going to be hanging out in the chat. Until next time, this has been the Philly Special.